All right. This is video one from chapter 7, ratios and proportions. Okay, so we're starting a new chapter here. Start by defining some terms here. So ratio is just a comparison of two quantities in division. So it's a comparison of two quantities using division. Okay, so we're going to compare two things. We're making a fraction, basically. All right, so look at the example here. Example one here, we got in Logan's High School, there are 190 teachers and 2,650 students. What is the approximate student-teacher ratio? So we want to compare these two numbers using division. So ratio, if you look at the question, it'll tell you how it wants the division set up. You always want to keep it in the same order as it asks you for. So if it wants a ratio comparing students to teachers, we're going to put the students on the top, teachers on the bottom. So students on the top, teachers on the bottom. So this would be 190 over 2650. Okay? Which we could reduce here a little bit. Those zeros will cancel. And we end up with 19 over 265. Okay? And we could reduce that down to a decimal if we needed to. But right now we're just going to leave that as a fraction. Okay? All right, next one. Next example. We have what we call extended ratios. Okay? An extended ratio will be what we'll use to compare three or more quantities. Okay, so a regular ratio, we compare two quantities. Extended ratios we use if we want to compare three or more quantities. So look at the example here. The example we got says that the ratio of the measures of the angles in a triangle is 3 to 4 to 5. So that's how that's read. That's 3 to 4 to 5. That's how we read a ratio. Okay, we're comparing 3 to 4 to 5. We're going to find the measures of the angles. Okay, so we'll look at this extended ratio. So what we do is we look, so we understand first what we're comparing here, what we're looking for. It's the measures of angles. Okay, so that's going to be we're going to extend that. These are angles that we're looking at here. So we want to start out by making a sum, and we're going to add an x to each one of these. So this will become 3x plus 4x plus 5x. We do that because we know what the sum of the measures of a triangle are. Remember, sum of the angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So we know what that is. So we're going to use that to help us to find the x. So basically we're extending this to three quantities, 3x, 4x, and 5x, because the ratios, the angles will have the same factor or same ratio between them. Okay, that's what the x represents. Okay, and then we're going to take that, and we know, since we know the sum of the measures of the angles, we're going to add those all up and set them equal to 180 degrees. So it's not always going to be 180, it's going to be whatever the problem is asking you for. It might ask you for perimeter or tell you the perimeter, then you would add them up and set them equal to whatever the perimeter is. Just depends on what they give you in the problem. Okay, in this case, they said the measure of the angles in a triangle, so we know what the total sum of that is. It's 180 degrees, so we set that up. All right. So we just want to work this out now. 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 12x. Okay. Then we divide both sides by 12. And we get 15. Okay? Now, like usual, this is not the final part of the answer. It wants you to now take that x that you got and wants us to find the measures of the angles. So we need to take this 15 and we're going to plug it back in to each of these extensions. So we do 3 times 15, 4 times 15, and 5 times 15. So my 3 angle measures are going to be 45, 60, and 75. Those are my 3 angles of my triangle. Okay? So that's extensions, extended ratios. Next, we want to talk about how we solve proportions. So that's going to be the next thing. A proportion is a comparison of 2 ratios, which is an equation with 2 ratios. Okay? So for example, you have A over B equals C over D. Okay? That's a proportion. It's 2 ratios set equal to each other. Okay? So you've solved them before, back in middle school, in algebra. So let's go back and just revisit real quickly, how do we solve a proportion? So here's 3 proportions I got set up. We want to talk about how to solve these. Okay, so if you remember, we start out, we cross multiply. We're going to cross multiply. Okay, so 6 times 31.5 is 189. And that's equal to 21x. All right, then we're going to finish solving. To do that, we're going to divide both sides by 21, and we get 19. I'm sorry, 9. Let's roll this up a little bit. Okay, so same process here with the next one. Okay, we're going to start out, we're going to cross multiply. All right. Now it's important that you understand if you have a binomial up here, we have x plus 3, it's a binomial. I need to make sure I'm taking 5 times the entire binomial, which means we're going to multiply 5 times both of those parts, the x and the 3. So if I do that, 5 times that x plus 3 is going to be 5x plus 15, and then 2 times 4x would be 8x. Okay, so make sure you're taking that 5 times both parts here, the x and the 3, when you have a binomial like that. Okay, so I want to work on finish solving. Okay, to do that, I've got to move my 5x over, so I'm going to subtract this 5x from both sides, get my x's together. That gives me 15 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals 5. Okay? Then it just becomes solving an equation after we cross multiply. All right? One more. Let's look at this again. So we want to start out. We got C. We got 7 over z minus 1. 9 over z plus 4. We want to cross multiply. Make sure again that we take the 9 times both parts of that binomial, the 7 times both parts of that binomial. Okay? So 9 times z, 9z, 9 times negative 1, negative 9. 7 times z is 7z. 7 times 4 plus 28. Okay? Again, make sure that you take the number times both parts of the binomial. All right, now we want to combine our like terms. I'm going to subtract 7z from both sides. That means I got to add the 9 to both sides because you got to have your number and your letter on opposite sides. Okay, we want numbers and letters on opposite sides. So if I bring the z this way, the 9's got to go the other way. Okay, so we combine those together. That's going to give me 2z equals, that'd be 37. We're going to divide both sides by 2. And I end up with, what would that be? 18.5. I do that in my head. 18.5, 37 divided by 2 is what we end up with. Okay? So that's how we solve proportions. It's going to be a key concept you're going to learn here in this section. All right? Make sure you keep it up on your notes in your homework. Good luck.